Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Peter Little. I'm Deputy Vice-Chancellor at QUT and a member of the Governing Committee of the Queensland Business Leaders Hall of Fame. And I'm very pleased to welcome you all here tonight for what is going to be a wonderful conversation. Thank you very much for coming. To begin with, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we're meeting tonight and pay respects to their ancestors who came before them and to their elders living today. The location of the State Library on Kurilpa Point was historically a significant meeting, gathering and sharing place for Aboriginal people, and we proudly continue that tradition here this evening. I'd like to acknowledge and welcome firstly our speaker, our interviewee, or our person partaking in a conversation, Maha Sinnathamby, Chair and Founder of Springfield Land Corporation, Jeanette Wright, CEO and of the State Library of Queensland, Ray Weeks, Chair of the CEO Institute and member of the Queensland Business Leaders Hall of Fame Governing Committee and interviewee for over 50 stories now for the Queensland Business Leaders Hall of Fame, and of course our interviewer tonight. Members of the State Library Board of Queensland, the Queensland Library Foundation, the QUT Business School and the Queensland Business Leaders Hall of Fame Governing Committee. It's important for us to recognise our generous donors and partners, Crowe Horwath, Channel 7, Morgans, NAB and the RACQ. We're pleased that you can join us for what is going to be an exceptional edition of the Game Changer series. This interview series is an initiative of the Queensland Business Leaders Hall of Fame, and it was designed to bring innovative leaders from business, technology and creative industries to share their insights. The Queensland Business Leaders Hall of Fame, which was established about 8 years ago in partnership between the QUT Business School, the State Library and the Queensland Library Foundation, set out to create a business memory to capture the stories and the materials from our great business leaders over the last 150 odd years and to create a business memory in the State Library of Queensland. The Game Changer series is designed to complement that as well as some other initiatives. This year at the 2015 induction dinner, we inducted 6 iconic enterprises and innovative entrepreneurs. They were, for those who weren't at the dinner, and we encourage you to come to the dinner next year, nearly 1,000 this year, and we hope that you'll help us to break 1,000 next year. They were Benjamin Wickham McDonald, who was inducted in recognition of his excellence in leadership in the Australian shipping industry. He was known as the Napoleon of Australian shipping. Blue Care, in recognition of its outstanding contribution to developing aged care services throughout communities of Queensland for over 60 years, started with 1 nurse and now has 11,000 employees and volunteers. It's an incredible story. Ellen O'Brien and Defiance Flour, in recognition of Ellen's pioneering leadership in establishing Defiance Flour, a leading Australian brand for over 100 years. Sir Lawrence Wackett, for his establishing Australia's aircraft design and manufacturing industries and their contribution to the defence of Australia. He oversaw the Commonwealth Aircraft Corporation, which went from no employees just before the Second World War to 10,000 employees, and it built 1,700 planes for Australia's defence. The Courier Mail was inducted in recognition of its distinguished contribution to reporting Queensland affairs for close to 170 years. And Hine Timber, in recognition of the Hine family's significant contribution to the timber industry for over 130 years. It is Australia's leading timber company and exporter. For more information on the 50-odd inductees, you can go anywhere at any time to the Hall of Fame website and read the wonderful stories, the digital stories and oral histories, or you can go to level 4 in the John Oxley Library. But tonight, as part of the Game Changer series, we're here creating a rare platform for innovative leaders to share their insights, their pathways to success, some of the battles and triumphs that they experience along the way, And we're particularly keen to know what are the personal characteristics that enable them to achieve great success. These stories will not only fill you with inspiration and lessons to incorporate into your own personal and professional endeavours, but will help to shape Queensland's economic and commercial development and the social fabric of our state. Tonight, we are very fortunate to hear from the visionary behind Australia's fastest emerging new city and the founder of Greater Springfield. This is a very, very big story. Not just a very big Queensland story, but a very big story nationally and internationally. I'd now like to invite Ray Weeks to come to the platform and introduce Maha.
Thanks, Peter, and welcome. Good evening. The Game Changers series is, as Peter referred to, about bringing nationally and internationally recognised entrepreneurs and innovative business leaders here to tell their stories, to share their insights with you, to discuss how they build companies, inspire teams, and also drive remarkable growth achievements. So tonight, we're going to hear, as Peter said, a big story. We're going to hear the story of Maha Sinnathamby, migrant, entrepreneur, property developer, visionary, and one of Australia's wealthiest businessmen. You'll understand tonight, I hope with this conversation, the remarkable legacy he has created in the development of Greater Springfield, a fully master-planned city, only the second in Australia after Canberra. Nowhere else in the world is there a comparable example of a master-planned city or community being created by a small, privately owned company with limited funds. When Maha first visited the Springfield site, there was nothing there. Just a desolate, rocky expanse, no houses, not even a green tree. And as Maha's wife Yoga explained, that's the way she saw the land when she first saw it. And there was nothing there apart from a prison to the north, a big cemetery, and a psychiatric hospital, which everyone, including Yoga, thought would come in handy, considering Maha's clearly evident lunacy and believing he could develop this site. And by the way, I need to stop a vicious rumour. Before I came in, it's spreading, and I've just got to stop this vicious rumour. Springfield was not named after the US city where Homer Simpson and his family lived in the TV series The Simpsons. It's just not true. So you're going to hear tonight how in bringing the vision to reality over the past 20 years, why all levels of government, including Terry McEnroth here tonight, saw something special in Springfield. You'll understand in creating Greater Springfield, Maha's vision, his sense of social justice, his persistence, his courage, energy, and his talent for building strategic partnerships. As Bob Sharpless said, Maha's business partner and friend, he said that Maha recognises no obstacles to achievement. A key part of Maha's plan is his willingness to say yes to whatever request comes his way and work out the how later. Or as Bob said, get others to work out the how later. So let's have a look, before we get underway with the conversation tonight, let's have a look at this snapshot of Maha and Springfield. Thank you.
We are building Australia's largest city. This is absolute dedication, commitment and passion. You drive it day in and day out. Nation building is about showing the world that in building Australia's largest city, that it is a true valued society, it's a true valued community where there is a home for everyone and get value out of each other. That is what human capital is. There are 3 pillars to this project. There's education. Education is the currency of the future. Education is the only currency that can be cashed anywhere in the world. 44.6% of our resident population are in one form of learning or the other, which is very, very high in this country. The second is health. Health in all its entirety. Human health care is fundamentally very important. The third is IT. As you know, the world is changing very rapidly with IT and technology. Technology is driving the world. We are making sure we are on the leading edge of digital technology for this project. It's beyond me now. It's being driven by organizations, by public companies who have a strong vested interest to drive this project to success. And every time I go and I see projects happening, and I see cranes on the skyline, and I see workers working, and everybody having fun and creating something, it really gives you a tremendous joy. In building a city of the size of Greater Springfield, you need a tremendous amount of infrastructure. The first and foremost is transport. So there are major arterial roads coming into the project. We've got a $1.2 billion railway line that comes right from Brisbane to Springfield. Beyond that, there is a human infrastructure. That's the schools, the gardens, the other facilities, the shopping, etc. that forms part of the infrastructure. We are driving this. This is a mammoth project. We want this to be a prosperous community. And for that, we want small businesses, mom and dad operations. We want medium businesses. We want large operations. So it caters for all levels of our society. Australia is a multicultural society. I say that the face of Australia is changing every day. As we get more and more migrants coming up here, the face is getting more and more beautiful. There is cultural exchanges. Everyone becomes richer by interacting with various cultures. It is well on track, but naturally, as far as I'm concerned, I would like it to move faster and faster. Life is limitless. A project is limitless. You can keep on driving and driving and driving because there is no limit to what you can do. Think beyond your limitations and go for the success. Because chase the success, money will follow.
So, that's good. So please welcome a game changer, Maha Sinnathamby.
Thank you, Ray.
Good to see you. Maha, let's start with your origins. Let's do your humble origins. Can you share with us just a little about your upbringing? Share with us your personal journey involving being put on a boat from Singapore to Fremantle, and at 17 years of age, being alone in this country and studying civil engineering. So take us back.
Ray, I come from a very, very simple, humble family. It's a small village, about 60 km from Kuala Lumpur. It does not have any electricity at that stage. Very little running water. I studied under a kerosene lamp, so that shows you how humble this place is. But Dad had a commitment to educate all his 8 children. Education was very important, and he drove that very hard message from day one. So after finishing school, and I failed at school, I've had many failures. And after finishing school, I took a boat, came to Fremantle, and from Fremantle flew over to Sydney. Sydney, compared to that village of mine, was moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And it took a while to get used to it, but I usually adjust myself very quickly to an environment, but that's my background.
And your father, he had he decided that you'd become an engineer, right?
Yes.
Did you have a burning desire to do anything else?
No, at that age of being 17 and having grown up in a small village, you know very little what was happening around the outside world. But he, in his wisdom, said, you got to do civil engineering. I said, okay, let's have a go at it. I take anything on. So I came up to University of New South Wales, and that's where I started the course.
So let's just go with, we're going to come back to this, what really drives you and what made you want to build a city. But you said, in reading your book, which, by the way, this is Stop Not Till the Goal is Reached. It's an outstanding read, understanding the principles of your success and also the great story. But you say a sculptor looks at a rock and sees the face within. Can you explain how you saw a city in a 7,000-acre forest where no one else could? Why were you so certain it was the right thing to do?
Well, just by way of background, these 7,600 acres came to the market. You don't get a large land mass like this anywhere in the country outside Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne or Sydney. And when you get a large land mass like this, you've got to take it to the highest possible use. And the challenge was, how do you bring this about? And as I might have said that in the book, no one wanted to buy this land. It had all sorts of problems. It was in an area that was high rate of unemployment, high crime rate, and low level of education. The state prison, as you said, was next door to it. And it needed a highway of over $200 million, a centenary highway, and they said, who would want to be in it? There was no planning in it. Now, knowing that background, I say this all the time, those of us who are not sculptors, we look at a rock and we see a rock. But a sculptor looks at a rock and he or she sees a beautiful face in it. That face is already in the rock. But the sculptor takes out a number of tools and brings that face out. So in our case, I saw this land. It was, to me, it was calling out and saying, bring me out. You're the only one who can bring me out. I'm a city. Bring me out. That was a challenge. The challenge was huge. No one believed in it. I've got my friend Terry McEnroth here. He was the Minister for Planning.
He didn't believe in it, did he?
Terry went and had a look at the land with his driver, and he had a bit of difficulty finding the land. And his driver did. And then came back to his office and he said, who would live here? And that was a challenge. No one believed in this. So all I would like to say to the audience is, you will have opportunities. There is a face inside that rock. There is an opportunity beyond what you could see. Just look for it.
And when you shared your vision for Springfield at the time, at the beginning, most said you were mad. Right? You were mad. They said in anyone's terms it was a massive leap of faith.
Yes.
So the fact you were a lone voice in this. So what does it say about you? What does it say about your inner strength, your capacity to envision outcomes? What does it tell us about Maha Sinnathamby, really?
Well, Ray, it's good that you say that, because even my wife didn't believe it. She's here. She thought I was mad. But I say this, there is something in human nature that if you believe that it is right and it is legal, you pursue it relentlessly. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in yourself and you pursue it relentlessly. And there's something in human nature that if you keep on persisting, you will wear the other side off, because you are not going to be worn off. They will wear off and you will win. But it has to be right and legal.
Of course. So in your book, Stop Not Till the Goal is Reached, you state these 10 principles that inspired you to build Australia's largest privately owned master plan city. And one of the principles is, following on from what you just said, all power is within you. So tell us what you mean by that.
Well, that's fundamentally saying have faith in yourself. Have a strong sense of faith, self-belief. History shows that all the people who have become great in life, they had that strong sense of self-belief, born with the consciousness that they were going to be great. They became great. But in them, it's in them, that strong sense of self-belief and that strong sense of faith.
But another principle for you is make one idea your life. And you've had one central purpose and a burning desire to possess it. Now, how important has this been to your success?
I think in the end of the day, that is absolutely fundamental, that you have to believe in something and you have to keep at it day and night. I had the responsibility because when this project went to Parliament, and Mr. McEnroth is here to support me here if he thinks so. When it went to Parliament, we have 89 parliamentarians. All the 89 hands went up. Can you imagine that? All the 89 hands, government, independents, and the opposition. And for the first time, our parliament gave approval to a city and gave birth to a new city other than Canberra. Now this put a load on me, this put a lot of responsibility that the Parliament has approved it. We have to do it right. And that was a challenge. So there was an extra burden placed on getting the approval.
Yeah, of course. And I just want to ask you about Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was your greatest inspiration. Just tell us the influence his thinking and actions had on you, because on Gandhi, for you, I think, was a constant reminder that you can achieve anything if you go about it in the right way, with courage, with dignity, and with fearlessness. What was Gandhi to you?
Gandhi was an absolute inspiration. It has been an inspiration ever since I was about 12 years old. I came across his book at the age of 22, and I said to myself, I got to read this. This is a man who did not have any money, because we didn't have money when we bought Springfield. He did not have any money. He did not have an army, and he had no family connections. And he took the British Empire on. And those of you who know history very well, and all of you would know it, it was said the sun never sets on the British Empire. No money, no army, take the empire on. The empire, due to his belief of passive disobedience and non-violence, handed to him their prized jewel. That changed the course of human history. Now, if that's not an example to follow, Ray, I don't know what it is. And that has been a constant reminder. Just keep going. Don't need any money, you don't need any army. Just keep going.
Do you describe, I'm almost stopped here for a minute, describe the values that you do hold sacred, because I just need to understand those values more, because I just need to understand also the importance of your thinking coming from the Vedanta movement and how that underpins your values.
Well, Vedanta is a teaching of over 4,000 years old. It's an ancient teaching, and it says you are the creator of your destiny. You are the master of your life. Go and do whatever it is. And it says further, Vedanta is much deeper than all this, but it says you have all the powers of the universe within you. And it also says that the human being does not only uses an infinitesimal of what they can do. And it says all the knowledge is inside you. Just keep finding who you truly are. It's much more deeper, but I'm just summarizing that in a few words. Okay. But that gives you a tremendous amount of strength. You are the creator of your destiny, Ray. What else? Don't blame anybody else.
Does it require you at times to construct a reality that others can't see?
I think I can give them a bit of coaching on that. I'm very happy to do that. They'll probably learn a bit from them.
That's true. You're clearly a risk taker. Can we just, for everyone here, just describe your appetite for risk?
Well, I don't take risks. I don't believe in risk.
Right.
I don't believe in anything negative. I have a plan, I have a vision, I have a strong sense of self-belief and strong faith in myself. And I go about with a vision, I have it mapped out, and I pursue it. Along the journey, you will come across a lot of problems. Unplanned, unforeseen, GFC comes up, political climate changes. You start dealing with the government, and then all of a sudden the government changes. Uncertainties comes in all forms. But when you have these uncertainties, and you say to yourself, these uncertainties are bound to come, and I'm going to overcome that. And you don't know what these uncertainties are, but have that faith that you will overcome these.
But you don't, your mantra seems to be stay upbeat and positive and expect the best from others. And you don't abide by any negatives, do you? Because the way I said, you maintained, in reading your book, you maintain this determined optimism. You don't take no for an answer. You just refuse to think negatively. So am I right on all this?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
I love all what you're saying. I enjoy what you're saying.
But is that
Just keep saying.
But take us a bit further. How do you maintain this upbeat, positive? I understand the base of thinking here with Vedanta and so on, but take us through. This optimism has been a force multiplier for you, hasn't it?
Yes, very much so. Ray, I say this, I don't like to think negative of any kind. If it comes, I just try and erase it. It's off. If I see anybody or hear anybody say negative, I just avoid them or I change the subject. I don't want to pollute my mind with negative things. I'm on a journey and I want my mind to be pure and clean. And as soon as I introduce anything negative, or I get it mixed up with anybody negative, it comes and affects my mind. So I try and avoid them. I try and change the subject and whatever it is. I also say that in your path to success, you will have, as you know, you will have failures, but you try and overcome with positive thoughts. And I'll say this, Ray, I didn't want this really you to bring this, but I'll tell you this, I'm quite happy to admit this. At university, I failed my first year. I repeated it.
You had to repeat every subject, right?
Those days, we had eight subjects first year. If you fail one, you repeat the whole lot. That's University of New South Wales. Now, I repeated it. Then the next year, I passed first year, then I went to second year. I failed again. I was really upset, not for me, but for my dad. They were struggling to pay my fees. I wrote to Dad and I said, Dad, I'm sorry I let you down. Dad replied, I thought he was going to get upset. But he said, son, just keep going. The darkest night brings the brightest dawn. I read the letter and I just cried and cried and cried. I never failed after that. I never failed. But I say this, now that you have asked the question, I say this, we all will have dark nights, friends. We'll all have dark nights. We'll have a health problem, we'll have a financial problem, we'll have a personal problem. It can come in any form. You will have dark nights. But when you have dark nights, say to yourself, forget about the dark night. Tomorrow will be a better day. just think of tomorrow. Forget the dark night. And you won't have any dark nights.
That's great advice. Explain the principle, just following on from that was so prevalent in your life, which is character is established through 1,000 stumbles.
Yes.
Explain failure to you and how you maintained that inner strength, that character.
Well, those of you who know, and the book is all there, it tells the truth. The writer said to me, tell everything, and there's a few bad words and everything. She said, I will not write unless you tell, so it's all there. But when you have failures, failures are the best teachers. We will not avoid failures. We will all have failures. But it is the failures that you learn from. You learn from your mistakes. You have failed. I didn't want to say this, but I failed. I was a very wealthy man in Perth. I had $30 million and I lost it. I had nothing. I had only a wife and 4 kids after that. Nothing. But
do you want to comment on that?
And you just say to yourself, well, what do? I just have to keep going. And you pick up your bags and you keep going. But you have failed. But you learn out of that. It's the failures that makes you a better person. And I also say this, when you know how a pearl is created. A pearl comes through the irritation that the sand gives to the oyster. The more irritation it has, the better the pearl is. So it's all the failures that makes you a better person. Failures is something that you have learned from. become stronger and stronger and stronger.
We've got a number of entrepreneurs in this audience, and I think they'd love to hear from you, your thoughts on entrepreneurship, and what do you think distinguishes successful entrepreneurs?
A successful entrepreneur must have a vision. He has to say, well, I want to be the best bread maker or whatever it is, or I want to be the best car maker or whatever it is, but they have to have a vision. They have to say, this is my goal, this is what I want to do. And I'm not teaching any entrepreneurs, they are much better than me. But having thought of a vision, having thought of a plan, pursue it day and night. Don't get distracted. Are you going to have problems? Yes, you will have. You will have problems. You will have many, many hurdles. We have had hurdles after hurdles. Mr. McEnroth will tell you about the hurdles that we have had to have brought Springfield to where it is. We had changes of government, we had changes of bureaucrats, we had all sorts of issues. There was no money with government. As soon as you see them, they say there's no money. We have all sorts of issues, but you have to just pursue it. And it's that resilience and that strength of character that you have to have. And you will end up having a bit of a thick skin in the end. You don't accept no for an answer. And I say this, when you believe in something that is right and legal, just pursue it. Don't accept no for an answer. That will demean yourself as a human being. Don't demean yourself.
And you seem to surround yourself with, you have this great knack for surrounding yourself with innovative and driven entrepreneurs to form partnerships with, such as your partner on Greater Springfield, Bob Sharpless. Do you have any advice on what attributes are important when you're looking for partners and what you should steer clear of?
Well, a partner is somebody who is very important for you. It's very, very important. You've got to be very careful of who your partner is. I am actually very fortunate that Bob Sharpless wanted to join me, and I had to give him a hard time before he joined me.
You told me that.
He's an amazing character. He's an amazing character. And they have to have the stamina to go through these difficulties. He joined me actually when I was broke. I admire this man. And he went off to his wife and said, I've joined Maha Sinnathamby. And she said, that's fantastic. How much are you getting paid? Nothing. He has nothing. This is a fact.
But you two had $40,000, didn't you? That was it. $40,000 to start with.
Yes, we had $40,000. But the thing is, he had the strength of character to back a man who was broke. And prepared to take a journey with him to leave Perth and bring his wife, the only child of a very successful surgeon in Perth. They drove across the Nullarbor. They couldn't afford an air ticket to join me. And that's how Bob Sharpless is. But so if you have to select a partner, they have to have the stamina to go through the ups and downs. This is a roller coaster, my friend. You go up and you come down and you have to enjoy it.
See, Bob regards you as a brother in arms.
Yeah.
Doesn't he?
Yes. We've been with each other for over 30 years now.
This partnership is remarkable. And he would have seen, what did he see in you that he now talks about today?
Well, whenever I've asked him this or others have asked him, this has come many a time, he said, I just like him. I don't know why. Why he likes a bloke who's gone broke, he can't pay any money.
Let me ask you, you don't advocate wealth as a measure of success.
Yes.
I mean, how do you measure it? How do you measure success?
Ray, I don't know whether you know of anybody who has taken wealth when they have passed away. I haven't met anybody yet. No. It's a temporary joy. You play with it. You have fun with it. You chase it. You play with it. You have fun with it. You've got to leave it behind. Goodbye. So I think the challenge here is to enjoy the journey, enjoy the challenge, and leave something behind, something that's valuable. We value education, as you know, in Springfield. And we put a lot of emphasis on educating kids. I have 15 schools, 13,300 students, all within 5 minutes of each other, in an area that was socially and economically depressed. I have training institutions. I annoy Terry McEnroe even now to try and bring more trainers in there. We want to train people to be out the door. I have a commitment to education. Education is the soul of Springfield. And so it's about having that sort of excitement, because you can't take the money with you.
And let's talk about unemployment for a moment. Unemployment, the rate in the Springfield, Greater Springfield, what is it? The level of unemployment.
The Premier was there the other day opening the GE building, and I had to say this. We have a plan, and we have driven this plan hard. For every 3 residents, there must be 1 job. And in Springfield, the unemployment rate is 2.5%. The Premier was shocked.
It's staggering, isn't it? Yeah. Staggering.
We are an exemplar for the country. The country shouldn't have an unemployment of 6.3%. And if you drive it hard enough, we will bring this country back to a situation of 2 to 3%. We shouldn't be where we are, but I won't go into politics of that.
No. You say, I really want to explore this a little further too. This passion for education, which is an underpinning at Springfield. What do you mean when you say that education is the currency of the future?
Well, Ray, education is the only currency that you can go and cash anywhere in the world. It's a currency of the future. It's the only currency that you can go and cash and say, I am so and so, I'm worth so much. And it's the only currency that cannot be stolen from an owner. And I didn't want to go into this, but when I lost everything in Perth, I went to say goodbye to my solicitors. And the senior partner said to me, man, they have taken everything away from you. You've lost a bit of shine and reputation and so on and so forth out of your failures. But I can't take what's in your head. So education is a currency that cannot be stolen from an owner. It's always there. Nobody can touch it. It's with you. So education is a currency of the future. Education is a currency that can be cashed anywhere, and education cannot be stolen. And please allow me to say this. We have 15 schools, and I'm so proud we have an indigenous school. A school that we brought where kids, where girls, 13, 14s, were not doing very well where they were. We brought them, we've got 350 students and 50 on the waiting list.
That's outstanding.
And I will drive this indigenous education. I want them to be part of an Australia. I want them to be part of a successful Australia where they are mixing with other kids and kids are learning from them and they are learning from that. That is the soul of Springfield. I have a commitment for education. I am who I am for a little bit of education I had, so I've got to give it back.
So, this kerosene lamp that you learned how to value education under a kerosene lamp. Just describe that.
Well, first of all, there was no electricity, so you had to have a kerosene lamp to study.
Exactly.
But it's that sort of a perseverance and that sort of an environment that taught you have to value this education.
So, when we look at you're building a city from the ground up, I mean, do you feel responsible for its culture, its ethos? And if so, what enduring trait would you like to see live on in the heart and soul of Springfield?
Ray, this is just a city that is experienced a lot of money. I know you'll ask that question perhaps later on, but
I will.
It's the responsibility that was given by the approval that was given by the government has put a lot of load on us. This project is moving very fast, and what is fundamentally very important is that we have to create a community that's a valued community, a community that has got extra human and social capital. And that's what we have. With 44.6% of our residents being in one form of education or the other, which is the highest in the country, there is a value-adding experience that's going on.
So, Greater Springfield has won international acclaim. It was awarded World's Best Master Planned Community by the International Real Estate Federation. What is it that sets, and you, as you went around the world, I know, and visited a number of master plan communities and came back with some ideas out of that, but what is it that sets Greater Springfield apart from other communities internationally?
Well, we studied, as you said, 15 master plan communities around the world, 13 in the US and 2 in UK. Every one of them had one or the other missing. One, they either didn't have a major railway line, or they didn't have a university, or they didn't have a hospital, or they didn't have a major shopping center. We looked at it and we said, we'll have everything here to fit in with Queensland environment. We came here and we created our own model. And we said, that's what it is. But fundamentally, what is going to stand out for Springfield, which won the world's best master plan community, is that we were emphasizing on human capital and social capital. That is schooling, training, health. Health is a big factor. We got 52 hectares, which is the largest piece of land in this country for all forms of human health care. And we are talking about an IT hub, where, because technology is moving at a rapid electronic speed, what this world is going to be in 10 years, Ray, you know that it's going to be a different world. Now we are having an IT hub. All these are adding human capital. In the end of the day, it's all about, when the judges realized we were adding human capital, social capital, creating a community. I'm not a developer. The government knows I'm not a developer. I'm a community builder. I've got one chance to do it, and I've got to do it right. And can I just finish off with this? The approval that we have is for a CBD that's the largest, 369 hectares of land devoted for a CBD. Brisbane CBD is 156 hectares. Sydney is 161 and Melbourne is 240. This will be the largest city that will ever emerge. It will go well beyond me. It might take about another 40, 50, 60, 70 years to come. But it is going to be a valued community with human capital being the emphasis on it.
So is there a dream or a goal or an activity that you haven't yet done or achieved in your life that you've got this burning desire?
Yeah, I think I have a desire to give a bit of hand to this country. I think we have to innovate. We have to stop thinking of, just manufacturing alone. We have to stop riding the sheep's back or the agricultural part of it. I know they are very important. We will still use them. But fundamentally, the world is changing so rapidly that we have to go and innovate. We have to go into the technology area where the world is going to change. And we have to challenge countries like Switzerland who are into higher order of activities. And we have to belong there.
We'll come back to your views on Australia shortly, but Springfield is your physical legacy. How would you like to be remembered?
I think one day, and I'm not looking for this, but I'm saying one day somebody will realize that this was an area, the whole of Western Corridor was socially and economically depressed, never had any plan whatsoever. But something happened. You mentioned about the mental asylum and the prison and all that. I like to think that we have changed the pattern of life in this area. Can I say this on coming to prisons? I asked a director of prisons once, what is that one thing that lands a person in prison? He was sitting with me next to, over lunch once. And I thought he will ramble on for 15 minutes. But his immediate answer was, they can't read or write. That's what lands a person in prison. Those of us who are parents, we give so much of our life to bring a kid up. 18, 19 years, the mom and dad put into this kid in time and money. You lock the person in prison. Wasted human resource, wasted energy of the parents and their money, and a debt to the state, $195,000 to keep a person in prison. Give me $35,000. Let me educate and train this person. We turn that into a positive, where the person becomes a productive person. What's the fun in having this person locked up? So let's try. I think that's where I like to contribute a little bit.
So looking back on your personal journey as an entrepreneur and a business leader, are there any other key learnings that you want to share with everyone here today? Any other big learnings for you along the way?
I like to think that we have to have a different attitude about our country. You can ask me that later on, but
I'm going to ask you that later on.
Yeah.
But right now, what I want to ask you is about your learnings as an entrepreneur. As big learnings. I'll come back to the Australia shortly.
As an entrepreneur, I think we have got great opportunities in this country, and we should try and take it on. But we should stop making the same tool all the time. We got to innovate. We got to think bigger. We got to think beyond what we are doing, because out there the world is moving very fast. And I look upon entrepreneurs, I think they can be very, very successful into areas that we can go into the technology areas, into innovation and so on and so forth. We can do very well. Why should there be a Silicon Valley in US? Why not one here?
So we should support the entrepreneurs, the risk takers, with better funding, better risk capital, access to risk capital. Is that part of the thinking?
Yes,
really
part of that, who really are worthy of support. I still come back to the Gandhi, where you don't have to have money to survive and make money. I mean, we had no money when we bought Springfield, but I think that is the entrepreneurial spirit that we want to give. Don't provide crutches for a person who can walk.
And Maha, we clearly see you as a game changer. Do you see yourself as a game changer?
I don't think of all those other things to worry about.
But you've changed the game. You've changed the game in the most fundamental sense. So how do you see that?
I think I owe it to the country that I live in. I owe it to the governments that we are dealing with. Did you know that Queensland is the only state that does not have an upper house? I did not realize it, but it was told to me the other day. But we live in a great country. We need to excite kids. I am not very happy about our educational system. I think we should create more of an entrepreneurial environment for our kids. And I think we've got a great opportunity to change some of our educational system, but who am I? We've got the minister here.
Unless I'm sure you'd be listened to. Two of your daughters, which is here tonight, hold director roles in Springfield. Now, what advice would you give to members of the audience on going into business with family?
Well, my wife will complain about this, but ever since they were 5 years old, all I did was talk to them about real estate, took them around and showed all the properties and how properties are bought and sold and what you should look for in property. So they are very well healed from the age of about 5. And two of them have decided to join us, and they are doing a wonderful job. One is a bit more conservative, Reina is a bit more conservative, but that's what she has to be when you're putting up with me.
And Reina's role? Reina's role again is managing director?
Yeah. And Bob is a bit conservative. That's good, because I want to move at 1,000,000 miles an hour. They say, no, hold on, apply the brakes, fella. So that's a good combination. But I think because the project would go on for another 50, 60, 70 years, it's important that the family has some sort of involvement, and I'm glad that they enjoy it.
Good. And has family always come first for you?
Absolutely. There are 3 things that I have: family, my work, and my Vedanta beliefs.
That's good. That's good. Any other parting advice?
No, I just like to say
describe what Australia means to you.
Yes. I like to say to the audience that we live in a great, great, great country. A country that is 2/3 the size of China and India combined in land area. A country which has all the natural resources the world is hungry for. India and China has a population of 2.5 billion. We have 23 million. 1% of the population of India and China is sitting on this massive wealth. 4,500 kilometers of ocean frontage, pristine ocean frontage, and above all, I value its human rights. In the eyes of the law, we are all equal. What a country, where would you get this? We've all got no excuse but to go and be very successful. There is no excuse, Ray. It's a great, great country, great climate. You won't get this. So let's take advantage of it and bring it up. Let's push it really to the limits.
Get some nation-building leaders in place. Can we take some questions from the audience? If you'd like, please raise your hand. We have microphones on either side, so they'll come straight to you. Would anyone like to start the questions? Yes, right here.
Ray, David Muir, I'd just like to direct a question through you, Ray, to Maha. First of all, I'm wondering whether Maha would like to tell a little bit about his relationship with Clem Jones. And the reason I mentioned that, well, one of the reasons I mentioned that is because Clem, being the former Lord Mayor of Brisbane, was also inaugural inductee into the Business Leaders Hall of Fame. And maybe you could make some reference to your relationship with Clem and maybe what you learned from Clem.
Clem was one of the early individuals I came across when we came to Springfield, and he had done a lot in the early stages for me to understand how he brought centenary suburbs, and he was the one who strongly believed that Springfield can be a new centenary suburb. And he helped me in taking me to meet Tom Burns, the Minister for Planning at that stage, the first minister we had, and convinced him that the minister ought to look at this seriously for the benefit of the growing population of Southeast Queensland. He also took me to meet Terry McEnroth, whom I wouldn't have had a chance to meet as a minister, and Clem was good enough to explain that there is an opportunity here. Ministers, please look at it. So I am very, very indebted to Clem Jones for who he has and what he has done to us.
Yeah, remarkable man. Other questions here? Thank you.
Hi Maha, my name's Jeanette and I'm from the Mata. You talked about Gandhi and taking inspiration from Gandhi. I wondered who might be some more modern people that you take inspiration from, if any.
Who are the modern?
Other impressive leaders, apart from Mahatma Gandhi.
I have got very few other than Gandhi. I'm placed him so high up the ladder that I do not have anybody else that I can think of. I know of a lot of individuals like Martin Luther King, Mandela, Roosevelt, and Kennedys, but I have never seen an individual who could come very close to Gandhi. Gandhi was very, very unique in human history.
But you do single out John F. Kennedy.
Yes.
For his vision.
Yes. His right for civil rights. I very strongly support what he did because it's all about lifting society and having the society as one rather than have segregation.
His vision for man on the moon and so on. Yeah. There's a question right here. Thank you.
Hi, Maha. Nice to have you come here this evening and talk with us. My name's Beatrice Tanavsky. I just have a question. You say not to stop till the goal is achieved. You mentioned earlier that you wouldn't let anything stop you, including health conditions. What kind of suggestion could you make to somebody who's living with a chronic health issue? How can they let their entrepreneurial spirit rise above their physical capacity? Because somebody might have a burning ambition and the determination, but their body might be physically holding them back. Do you have any suggestions there? Because you did allude to some health condition yourself earlier or something you've dealt with.
Well, they might, as long as they are mentally fit. We do not. I gave a talk the other day at the disability conference, and I said at that conference, a person is not disabled. He's able to do other things. We do in the old indigenous culture, there was no such thing as disability. It was your ability that they considered. Everyone has got an ability. As long as they are mentally active, as long as they've got there's no mental problem, they can use your mind to try and bring whatever they want to do. It's in the end of the day, it's what's between our ears that drives us. The physical condition does help if you are better, but don't let that be a hindrance because your mind has to be active. nothing can stop a person who wants to be successful, and they have to use their mind to try and achieve it. And we got to encourage them. We should tell them, you are not disabled. You are able in some manner. And try and bring that ability out of them.
Thank you.
Another question? Thanks.
So just coming out of university, how did you fund your first projects? Did you find investors or raise the capital yourself?
Sorry, I didn't get that one.
How did you fund your first project? Did you raise capital yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you asked that. That might take a bit long, but basically when we saw Springfield, and as I said to you, it was on the market for 9 months, and I kept on reading the courier mail and I was watching it whether it was going to go away. It wasn't going away. Thank God it wasn't going away. Those who had cash, they could have bought it with petty cash, some of the major companies. But I brought it under contract first, and the vendors were not prepared to entertain me. They did not want to see me. So I brought in a friend of mine who had money, and he represented, and I said, he's my financier. Look at him, and he's got the money. And we are both partners. And we brought that and finally convinced the public company, it was Australian Forest Holdings, to try and rely on his money and my experience to try and get that under contract. But it was good for us. It made it easier for us because no one else wanted to buy it.
I want to just follow on from that question too. We're going to wrap this up very short of it.
Yep.
You successfully sought the support of 3 levels of government that together with private capital have invested close to $12 billion in Greater Springfield's infrastructure and construction. So what tips can you share with everyone here about the lobbying of government on infrastructure spend and so on?
Well, I don't lobby the government. I say to individuals, the government has got more problems than all of you. Okay? The government needs a solution. We go to the government with a solution. Don't go to them with problems, man. They got more problems than they can. They got all sorts of problems. So you go to the government with a solution. And the minister will entertain you if you have a solution and say, Minister, we want to do this. And if he sees if that suits his portfolio and that satisfies his requirements, you try and engage that yourself and try and work with him to find that solution. And he's happy with the solution. And many a time, Mr. McEnroe this year, and he was in government for a long time, he will find that you don't let them off. They'll try and say some nice things to you to try and get rid of you, but you are not going to go away. They should know that you are not going to go away because this is the right thing to do. And you're trying to help them because they got, as I said, they got a lot of problems. They can only give you so much of time. And so don't try to go and give them more problems than what they have.
Just got time for 2 more questions. Yes, right. Right here. Thank you.
Good evening, Maha. My name's Wendy. I believe in inclusive communities, which is what you're creating at Springfield, a wonderful opportunity. And I believe that inclusion in a community starts at home. Just as you challenged the Premier the other evening at the Robert Jones oration, I'd like to challenge you to ensure that all the new homes built in Springfield, in Greater Springfield, follow inclusive design and detail so that people like me can get in the front door and visit friends and family whenever we want to.
Thank you for that.
Were you there at that lecture that I
was, yes.
You was. Well, you know my answer
Yes.
to the Premier was,
Yeah.
and I also offered her my help. I also nominated an individual who was a Director General with the government for about 17
That's
years.
right. Yep.
And I said to her, I'm waiting for you to try and come back to us so that we can apply this by law.
Yep.
That means
Absolutely.
the
That's
state
what it
government,
requires.
the council and the developers have an obligation to contribute to that little bit of money that has to be spent initially to try and make the homes accessible.
Yep.
And I would like you to suggest that you please follow this up
I will.
with Kevin Cox
Yep.
because we left a solution for them. And I said, I don't want to come at the end of the year and find that it hasn't been done. So I think she's going to act on it. She's definitely taken that up
That's
very
right.
seriously.
But you, as an individual developer, can already start by creating a covenant.
Yes, well, if you had come to our GE building opening, you will find it is 100% accessible to
Absolutely.
everyone.
Look,
Luckily,
we've
the
got
law.
Sorry,
the
we
law,
have to finish that there. We might
Sure.
just ask another question. Thank you. Just to say that that oration, I agree with you, was remarkable. And this is a call to action for working in this area. So thank you. Any final question? Thank you.
Maha, John Gibson's my name. I'm a retired structural engineer. I've had a lifelong interest in railways, and I look at the Redcliffe Peninsula, who is just getting their railway now, and I think from memory, it proceeded in planning, was a lot earlier than yours, yet you seem to have got your railway up and running in a lot shorter time and duration. Can you share with us a little bit of how that came about, how you got a railway line, which is a free way of transport, into your area?
I think the credit goes to the Minister, or Terry McEnroe, who was the Minister of Planning. He insisted, and I mean he insisted that we give all land free for a railway line, and it was designated and it was spelt out, so there was no land acquisition for the government, and everything was planned and mapped out from day one. There was no interference to the route from Dara to Richlands and from Richlands to Springfield. The land was mapped and the land was there. So that's the biggest hurdle that the Redcliffe line has had, the number of owners who had come up and the acquisition programs. But here it was a much easier solution for the government to decide. Plus, of course, they knew that there was a rapid population growth that's happening here.
I think you'd agree this has been a very special experience. So could I ask you please to thank Maha Sinnathamby? Maha, thank you. Thank you very much.
You did well. You did well.
Maha, before making some closing comments, Sister Angela Mary, who was an initial inductee into the Queensland Business Leaders Hall of Fame and is a good friend of yours, send her best wishes tonight. She would have loved to have been here. She turned 90 last week and wasn't able to be here, but I hope she's watching live on the live stream. For those who don't know, this is all live streamed, but she sent her best wishes to you. Maha, I read a lot of leadership literature and a lot of history, and it strikes me that all of the great leaders, the great game changers in history are able to see things that others can't. And it's the one thing that stands out for me. It's a recurring theme that people can just see things, and you referred to the sculptor being able to see a beautiful face in a stone, and you saw a beautiful city within a pretty desolate landscape. And that's, quite an extraordinary thing. So as we reflect on, the success here, I think it's just worth mentioning this ability to see. We're trying to explore what great entrepreneurs, how they achieve their success, and it's not just about money and leverage and risk-taking and so on, but I think it starts with a vision. And out of all the interviews we've done here, I think a distinction here tonight is that you actually started with a grand vision. A lot of the entrepreneurs, our great entrepreneurs, start with a vision and they build up and it becomes a greater and greater vision. The remarkable thing in your case is that you actually started with a grand vision and you've delivered on that vision. A truly remarkable achievement. I think what came through was your strong sense of self-belief, your passion and relentlessly pursuing your vision. If you don't mind me saying, I detected one failure that you didn't identify, and that was that you went to the University of New South Wales. I can assure you, if you'd failed the first year at QUT, we would have only made you repeat the subjects you failed. And
should
so
have gone to you.
you probably would have saved 18 months in the process, but
It doesn't matter that I went to the University of New South Wales.
well, we won't talk about your failures, Ray. But Maha, thank you so much for your warmth, your humour, your openness, and sharing your very deep personal insights. And ladies and gentlemen, we saw a game changer on a grand scale tonight, and I'd like you to thank Maha once again. I'd like also to thank Ray for a wonderful conversation again tonight. As always, brilliantly done, Ray. Wonderful questions. The only thing is, I wondered at various stages who was in charge of the conversation. So would you please thank Ray? For those of you who'd like to revisit this wonderful conversation or share it with friends, the webcast will be available on the SLQ website within a week. Maha's book, Stop Not Till the Goal Is Reached, is for sale outside, and Maha is happy to sign that for you at no extra charge. And once again, I'd like to thank you all for being here. We really do appreciate your participation in these wonderful conversations. I invite you to come along to the next Game Changers conversation on the 28th of October, where we'll be talking to Nathan Mayfield, the co-founder and CEO of Hoodlum, an Emmy Award winner and BAFTA Award winner, great Queensland production company that's doing wonderful things internationally. It's one of our really great exports. They're producing a very long television series right now for the NBC in America, and they're really great Queensland entrepreneurs having a go and succeeding internationally. So it will be another remarkable conversation. But right now, would you please join us on the terrace, Queensland Terrace, for refreshments, supported by a generous sponsor, Cloverley Estate. And please take the opportunity to meet somebody that you don't know, Maha or somebody else here tonight. And thank you very much for coming. Good night.